Monday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. I had a really good idea for an April Fool's video, but I did not have the time to get it pulled off. So maybe next year. I'm at this yard, my most southern yard. It's been a little slower getting going this spring. I probably need to split most of these hives this weekend. I made my first round of splits. I did 38. I've got cells in the builder right now, and looks like it's going to be a pretty good take. I haven't counted them yet. I'll do that later this week. And I need to install cells on Sunday. So I think what I'm going to do is get set up to pull those splits on Thursday and Friday, and then actually pull them Saturday late. And I'm just gonna get the splits set up. Like, I'm gonna have the 3 foundations or 4 foundations and 4 frames and a double frame feeder on top of the hive over an excluder, and have them ready to go. That way all I've got to do is set them on the bottom board on the trailer and stick a lid on them. And I want to do that late in the evening so that I don't get as much drift, and then the bees can sit there, and then after church on Sunday I can go and install cells and get them fed and everything. I find that if I feed the bees right when I make the nukes, I get a lot more drowning, because they're all running around confused, figuring out where they are and that they're queenless and kind of in a panic. And if you wait till the next day, they've settled, and I think that will work well. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. This yard, I've got some hives in 4s, some in 3s, and then I've got some that I got from Bob. They're a deep and a medium. So I'm gonna go through all of these today and just see if they need boxes. I'm gonna try to be stingy with my boxes, because that's all the drawn comb I've got left. I've got 16 boxes of drawn comb left, and that is it. So I'm bringing some boxes of foundations as well. And if any hives are just bursting to the point that I don't think I can hold them to the weekend without them starting swarm prep, I'll give them a box, but I'll probably give them like 6 drawn combs and 4 foundations or something like that. I could use another 100 boxes of drawn comb easily. I wish I had it. I really do. That's what all of the bees I got from Bob look like, and I'll probably be able to split them this weekend. They could use a box. They've obviously gone through an emergence here. Let's see what this next one looks like. Yeah, about the same. They could use a box. So I think I'll probably give them, oh gosh, I wish I had drawn comb. I wish I had a lot of boxes of drawn comb. I'll have to figure out what to do with them. So I just tipped this hive. If you've got multiple boxes, if they're going to put in swarm cells, they'll almost always be in between the 2 boxes on the bottom of the upper box. And we've got some cups there, and they are polished, but no eggs, no nothing. So I'm not worried about cups. So I'm not worried about this hive swarming right now. They're a little bit light, so I want to feed them. I don't want to overstimulate them. So I'm giving them a box with 4 drawn frames and 6 foundations and a gallon of syrup. And I'll come back, and I've got to go through my whole apiary and see which ones need splitting the most. And I'll split some this week and some the following week. I might be able to hold these for the 14 or 16 days or whatever. I hope. I wish I had more boxes of drawn comb. That would help a lot. So it's April 1st. We are about 4 weeks away from the start of the main honey flow. And some people call that a white wax flow, where you open the top of the hive and the bees have that white frosting on the frames, and they're drawing out foundations and things like that. So if we were in a white wax flow, I would just start throwing foundations on these hives, but we're not, so they're not going to draw a foundation, and they don't see that as empty space. So throwing foundations on right now doesn't really do anything to prevent swarming. And I'm just trying to buy some time by giving them 4 frames and some foundations and some feed. Maybe they'll start drawing those out, maybe not, but hopefully I can hold them for a couple of weeks and then split them. So on this hive, I put some peppermints in it about 10 days ago. Opened it up just now, and then proceeded to squash 2 dozen beetles that were on the underside of the lid, and more than that went back down into the frames. Not convinced that that works. I'm gonna try putting 4 in the top, I guess, this time, and then we'll check it back later this week and see what it looks like. So some of these deep and mediums that I put a second medium on are big enough to split now. Some I just wanted to let them grow for a couple of weeks. All these hives down here that are in the 4 boxes, 4 mediums, they can be split. Some will give me 2 splits, some will just give me 1. So there's 9 hives, maybe 11 in this yard that I can split this weekend. And I'm gonna need anywhere from 35 to 45 splits, depending on what my take is on queen cells. So I'll get some of them from this yard, but not all of them, that's for sure. This yard's a little slower. It's a good yard. They just get started a little slower. Show you one more thing. I did just treat this yard again with Scott's Grub X. That's the second treatment for it. I did it by hand last fall, and very heavy. I put a entire bag just around these hives, and I just did it with the spreader, so it was more of a broadcast and lighter application. But I think if I keep doing that, I'm gonna get a handle on my beetles. Back in the mating yard. Ran out of brick and block. That's not something I wanted to do. I don't think it's necessary on most of these. I've come back in to feed the ones I didn't 2 days ago. I don't like opening them today. This is emergence day. All my queen cells should be emerging, but I want them all to have at least half a gallon of syrup, just to make everybody happy and well fed. And we've got powerful storms coming in tonight, so I thought I would just pay the insurance, pretty cheap insurance, and move some block out here. I think this end of the yard will get more wind than that end, because it's kind of down off the hill right next to the windbreak. So I got all the rest of the block that I had and brick I could scrounge. Fed the ones that I didn't feed the other day, and then I had 2 that had drift. That one caught a bunch of drift. I turned it into a double, gave them a gallon of syrup, and that top box is nothing but foundation. There's another one right over there. Same deal, it caught a bunch of drift, so I made it a double with foundation and a gallon of syrup. Hopefully I won't need to look at these for 3 or 4 weeks. So it's gonna be 78 today, windy, storms coming in. And then tonight we've got strong storms, rain tomorrow, and then a cold front's coming in. It'll be in the 50s and the 30s, mid to upper 30s for lows the next 2 or 3 nights, and then it's gonna warm back up again. I made these strong enough, this first round I made strong enough that I think they can handle, you know, a dip in temperatures like this and be just fine. If they were weak, I might be a little concerned. At the end of the week, when these virgins will be maturing and ready to go on mating flights, we're supposed to have several days in the 70s and sunny, so hopefully we'll have good mating weather for them. I get a high percentage. I set 38 out, and well, let's see, I grafted 45. I got 38 cells. That's 85% or something. If I get 85% mating success, that'll net me 32 nukes, 32 queen right nukes. You got to play the averages. That's why I'm trying to do 5 rounds, grafting 45 a piece, and figuring on netting, 180 or 160. If I get down the road and I'm doing better than I planned, then I can just not do the last round of grafting. Wind's starting to pick up because the storm's rolling in. Apologize for the wind noise. Rolled into this yard, and you can obviously tell this is a much slower yard. It's north facing. I could have it south facing, but I've got this fence here and there's cows on the other side of the fence, and I like working the hives from the back, so it's north facing. This hive was a double. I actually reduced it in early spring. It needed a box. I had to give it mostly foundation. This one has got white wax, just beginning. You see they're working these central frames really hard. I think they've got some kind of a little flow going on because they're just starting to tip the edges of that with white wax. They really need a box. I think I'll just split them this weekend. I think they'll be ready to split. I'll go ahead and give them a box and be ready to split them. So this is one that's not going to work out. This is a hive that went queenless over winter. I merged a nuke with them, and the nuke was a swarm that I caught last year, so I have no idea how old that queen is. And apparently the queen is playing out. I just killed her and threw her in the grass. And now I've got 3 boxes of comb that I can use. Put this to the highest and best use. It's not the highest and best use of all this comb is not supporting a dying colony. It is giving comb to colonies that actually need it, that are big and healthy and doing stuff, doing what I want them to do. Productivity. Pretty decent take. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 misses. Maybe that's not such a decent take. I think I'll throw a patty on that builder and give them a couple of frames of brood and some more feed. Graft into them again. It's Saturday, April the 6th. I'm working on my second round of splits. I pulled 36 cells into the incubator yesterday, grafted into my builder again. I did boost it with a couple of brood frames and gave it a pollen patty and more syrup and some foundation to draw and all that good stuff. I'm just gonna try to keep that thing going. I've had 3 days of cold weather this week. It's 33 this morning. It was in the low 30s yesterday and the day before as well. The difference is the previous 3 days it's been in the 50s and cloudy and windy for highs, so I've not gotten any bee work done this week except grafting and pulling cells. So I've got to get 36 splits ready to go today, and then I've got to pull them tomorrow and drop cells tomorrow. I don't like doing it this way. I had hoped to have all those nukes ready to go yesterday, and then I could just pull them this evening, maybe finish up a little bit, but pull them this evening, and then they would settle overnight, and then I could feed and install my cells tomorrow. But it's just the way the weather goes. So I find myself in a position yet again where I've got a lot to do and I don't know how I'm going to get it all done. So I just prioritize what has to get done and try to make the most out of the day. It's amazing how quickly you can go from, man, where am I going to store all this extra bee equipment I've got, to, I think I may need to make an emergency trip to buy bottom boards. I don't know if I miscalculated or what, But I've got to get some wax dipping done in the next week, and I could really use about 75 more bottom boards. Part of that. So April 6th, we are in dogwood bloom. You can see I've got one there behind me. Red maple's done. They've already set seed. They're leafing out. Bees don't really work dogwood, but there's another species in bloom that I think is responsible for the full supers that I've been finding. And I've been finding several the last week. I think it's box elder. Box elder's in the maple family, and we've got a lot of different maples here. The earliest one is red maple. It bloomed a while ago. And then the silver maple is probably a little bit earlier, but box elder's in bloom right now. And sugar maple is just getting started. Seems like it would have bloomed this last week, but the cold weather we had kind of set it back. But box elder's opening up right now, and I think that's probably what the bees have been working, bringing in nectar. So I just pulled out of my worst yard. These three on the bottom are nukes. I need to requeen some other hives. And then these are just culls. Went in, killed the queens, taking the bees and the equipment. I'll set that on some other colonies. I am showing no mercy for weakness. I don't have time for that. This over here is another cull colony. Not producing. I'm gonna give their equipment to somebody who will. No mercy. A little chaotic here. Some of these boxes I culled out this morning, the hives are trying to rob them. It's wonderful. I'm doing my splits a little bit differently this week. I am making up nukes. So went ahead and put my feeder in here. Foundation, I dropped it from 5 frames to 4 frames. So I've got 3 frames of brood and a good frame of food, and then 4 foundations. These are a little weaker than they were the previous week. We should have a little bit more stable, warmer nighttime temps for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And next week, depending on how strong the bees are, I may drop this down to 3 frames. So doing this, I think, is going to make it easier to pull these off, get them on a bottom board, get a lid on them quick. They're over an excluder, so the queen can't get up in there. And this one I've actually pulled 2 splits out of, and they're the same, 4 frames in each, over an excluder. Bees can go up. I actually found the queen in this one, so I've got bees already adhering to all of these frames. Just she happened to be in the top box when I opened it up. I think this will work pretty well. I'll have to pull these off tomorrow and then drop cells and get them fed same day. So it's getting into the afternoon, and I am still working on making my splits up for tomorrow. I didn't split that colony last week. I'll get 2 out of it. I looked at the 2-week weather forecast, and after tonight, our lows are like 50. Tonight will be the last night in the 30s, so that opens me up to make smaller splits. So I'm almost done with this yard. I've got 2 off of this one, 1 off of this one that I'm going to take and move, and then 1, 2, 3. That is the pen of death right there. That means they're feisty. They sting me when they shouldn't. So I'm actually going to just do dirty splits on these, pull these 2 boxes off onto alternate hive stands, put another box of foundation and a feeder in here, and put cells in all 3 parts of it. And then I've got 1 there. I'm going to do the same thing to that hive. It's mean as well. So I'll move 1 part of it over here, drop cells in both halves. That one's small enough I can probably go in there and find the queen. Split there, split there, split there. Goodness, how many have I got in this yard? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and maybe 14. Well, that's better than I was expecting. I took 8 brood frames and 2 food frames away from this hive. on the 30th. Today's the 6th. That's crazy. It doesn't look like they miss it. So I need 6 more splits. I'm at my home yard on 327. I suspected this was a coal hive. The queen's not doing a bad job in there. I just don't know that they're gonna get big enough in time to make a good honey crop. So I dug in to check on the queen and found her. She's in my pocket. And that gives me an opportunity to split this thing 3 ways. So I'm gonna take her and go set her on a bottom board over here. Take the middle box, set it on a bottom board over there, and then add a box of foundation and a feeder to this bottom part, and then I'll come back tomorrow and drop queen cells in the 2 bottom parts and then use the old queen to get this little nuke going here. Sunday, April 7th, I'm pulling splits and dropping cells. I moved to this yard because access is easier, and I think the orientation will be better. There's actually some black walnuts planted in this really poor part of this field that doesn't grow anything. It's just a churred hilltop, and it's got privet growing up around those, and so there's a lot of brushy stuff, and I'm able to set the hives around those facing different directions to the sun, and that definitely helps with orientation because the bees navigate by the direction of the sun to the entrance. So I'm hoping I'll have less drift and less queens getting mixed up. But I don't know, I'm almost halfway done. Got 17 in this group, and then I've got 18 more to go. So all I'm doing is giving them maybe a half a gallon of syrup. I'm dropping a cell in the middle of the brood in about the same area on every one, closing them up and forgetting them for 3 to 4 weeks. Just leave them alone. Plan the work the plan. That's something I'm making a big effort to do this year. I decided in the off season that I should just continually rear queens and make nukes every week and do it all early, and then if I want to make more late queens I can, if I've got the ability to, but I want to get these nukes made and just get it done regardless of weather or whatever. So that's what I'm doing. I feel like I've been rode hard and put up wet. I've had a couple long days in a row, so I'm a little stiff and sore this morning, but feels good. I've got my 2nd round done. 3rd round is in the cell builder. I think I'll have enough assets, enough hives strong enough to split them next Monday, 7 days from now. I do need more equipment. I need more bottom boards. So, you know, we've got 3 days of rain coming this week. So I'll probably make a run down on one of the rain days. So here's a little hack I'm trying this year. Take these frames that got partially drawn last year, and then over winter the bees pick all the wax off, and they will not draw that out. Even if you put them back in on a good flow, they won't draw that out. So what I've always done in the past is I've pulled these out in early spring, and then I re-wax them. I melt wax in a turkey roaster and just paint it on here with a paintbrush, and that does work. I'm trying something simpler this year. Let's take a block of wax. I carry this around in my truck when I find these frames. Just rub the wax on there, give it a coating, and if they get started drawing that, I think they will finish it just fine. I think this will work. I've not seen anybody else try that, but I think that'll work.